Here we have the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. This one comes in the PRO-4X trim level in gun metallic, and then we get charcoal leather interior. For the powertrain, we get a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. That gets us 425 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. But as we come around to the front end here, we do get our LED headlamps along with LED daytime running lights and LED fog lights. The lights don't flash like that. That's just how my camera's picking them up. But love the new front fascia on the Armada, and I'm surprised with how much this is still an Armada inside and out, just how you look at it, other than the engine, honestly. But a very aggressive front end there in the PRO-4X trim level. Down here we get these 20-inch alloy wheels. Passive keyless entry on all 4 doors. And then over here we get the 12-speaker Klipsch sound system. Memory seats, 1-touch up and down windows on all 4 doors. And then we get our power folding side mirrors with blind spot monitors. Power door lock controls are there. Electronic parking brake. Get a power tilt telescoping steering wheel. And there's a power driver's seat with 2-way power lumbar support. I believe this is a 10-way seat altogether. But I love the interior, I love the seats. And the orange stitching is a nice touch as always. But I want to give a huge thanks to John Roberts Nissan here in Manchester, Tennessee for allowing me to review this Armada today. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. But in the back seat here, great space, headroom is good. Thigh support is really good. Just a very, very impressive interior, just in terms of the space. But over here to the rear AC controls, all that's down there. We can adjust fan direction, fan speed, temperature, 2 USB-C charge ports and a 12-volt. And there's a look at the front from back here. Really like the headliner, even though we don't have a roof in this one. I really like how they did that. It looks very premium. This middle seat will fold down. Bottle holders are right there. And there's a look at the third row with it down. The soft touch lights like that. Let's make our way towards the back. Child locks are here if you're curious. Capless fuel filler there. And I apologize, it's dirty, but it's below freezing out here, so it's kind of hard to use the car wash, way below freezing. Now that back end is very nice. LED tail lamps. And then you can see the parking sensors integrated in that rear bumper. You have a Class 4 hitch integrated behind that cover there. There's a spare underneath. There's your exhaust. And there's your space with the third row down. There's quite a bit of it with the third row down. And what's nice about having the bench seat in the middle is you can still fit 5 passengers very nicely if you want to keep it down, but you can also have up to 8 if you want. So 120-volt 3-prong household plug-in there. You can adjust the suspension in the back to make it easier to load, unload your groceries. And then here, you can fold the second row or fold the third row up or down. So pretty tough. And then here you have your owner's manual, the first aid kit and all that in here. I'm gonna make sure I can close this up. Tell you what, that'll close. But I mean, a pretty usable, capable SUV. And again, I don't know how I got this dirty, but it is what it is. Now it's pretty easy to get to that third row. Just pull that here. Top tether's there. And that's what the third row looks like from up here. And then you can see, you can fold the third row seat or lean it back and forth from right here, which is nice. And then you also have a USB-C charge port. Sorry about the glare. But that's on either side, which is nice. And then pretty easy to just snap it back into place. And then the second row, at least, you can pull this here and actually tumble it too if you want. So that's how you do that from the third row. Snap it back, and then you can see all the different angles in which you can adjust it. But front passenger seat, you get that power with the two-way power lumbar support, so it's nice to have that adjustability on that passenger side. Run through here with the 12 volts, a lockable glove compartment here. I like the wood grain, that trim's nice. And you all can pause anywhere you need to take a closer look at the window sticker. But $77,235 is the sticker price. And I was actually really surprised by the fuel economy as well. It's a bit better than the outgoing V8, but not by much. So that's just interesting. Now I'm gonna pop the hood and we'll take a quick look in the engine bay before we check out the interior. But there's that twin turbo V6. Let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. So nice leather heated wrap steering wheel here. There's the horn. Over here to this screen, I believe it's 14.3 inches or something like that. But wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, AM, FM, XM, Google Maps, all of that. Pretty much the industry standard now is going with these Google Maps subscriptions. And then you have different home pages that you can choose from and all of that. You also get dual zone automatic climate control, so that's in there. You get the 3-stage heated seats you can control either from up here, or you have buttons and knobs down below, which I'll show you after a while. And then the heated steering wheel, you can set that as well. The rear climate control is here. And then you can adjust temperature, fan speed there in the middle. And then all of your settings and whatnot are in there as well. But for the most part, there's a lot going on here, but all of the important stuff is pretty easy to use, which I like. Backup cameras here, you get that top-down view as well, which is a really nice picture. And then you can also use the front camera too, if you want that. Down here, hazards are there, camera settings, volume knob, and then you can adjust fan speed, the heated steering wheel toggle, the heated seats, temperature. And then down here, this is where your shifter, 4-wheel drive controls, and your drive modes are. So you can go from snow, mud rut, standard, eco, sport, tow. It's just a ton that you can fool with here, and you get all of the settings and words here. So quite a bit. And then you can set your 4-wheel drive to auto, high, low, rear differential lock, traction control, and then you can set the actual electronic air suspension right here, and the auto stop there. But for your shifter, P for park, R for reverse, N for neutral, D for drive, and then you can toggle the manual mode there. And you can use the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel in that manual mode. Now I like how they did this. This is very nice. It says since 1951 there. You can slide all this back. It exposes your wireless charging pad, 2 USB-C ports, 2 bottle holders. Then you have your center console cubby space here with a light, pretty big pocket. But there's a look at the back seat from up here. Sunglasses holder. And then you have the lights here. It's kind of hard for it to read my gloves. Vanity mirror. And then we do have a trailer brake controller here. But let's get back to the steering wheel and whatnot itself. First, for the screen, we can adjust the brightness from right here, which is nice. And as you can see, which we'll see how this affects the driving, but we have a check engine light. I don't know why, probably something computerized or whatever, but still, that was kind of weird. But to the left side stalk, blinkers, high beams, you can flash there, you can adjust the auto low beams there, turn the auto high beams on or off, and then fog lights there. And then we do get automatic wipers, so one time off, auto low high. We can adjust that auto sensitivity here, and then our rear wiper is here. Push back for that rear wiper fluid, pull up for the front. And we do get the Pro Pilot 1.1, so we can turn the whole system on there, adjust the speed, the gap adjust for the cruise. Then we have the volume here. Track list or radio station favorites can be toggled here. And then this is to go through the screen or the instrument cluster here. So you can just pick a side. If this is orange, that means the screen is what you'll use this for. If this is on, this means the instrument cluster in the middle is what you're using that for. So you use this as a scroll bar, and then you have 4 arrows and a back button and the voice recognition if you need it. So I'll kind of demonstrate the settings for you. You can go through the sub menus there. Tire pressure monitors, height control, all of that. And then in the settings, you can go in here if you want to fool with the vehicle settings. And then units of measurement or language, you can fool with that there. But for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just getting used to using this. So again, the 4 arrows on the side, this is a scroll bar, and you can decide which screen you want there. Push button starts here. Finally, here's the key fob with remote start. But to the important part, let's go ahead and take this 2025 Nissan Armada Pro-4X out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this Armada here, I actually so far like the feel of the 3.5 twin turbo V6. Now for the power output, I think it's crazy you're getting over 500 pound-feet of torque with this engine stock and over 400 horsepower. But gets up to speed nicely without having to give it too much. And I like, one of the reasons the Armadas do so well is just when you're behind the wheel of them, you feel like you're on top of the world because these sit up high, they feel big, they drive big, but they're still comfortable, if that makes sense. And coming down the road here, ride quality is pretty good. With this being the Pro-4X, even with the electronic air suspension though, you can just feel that it's a bit beefier, a bit more off-road oriented. But the overall feel behind the steering wheel is really nice. It just feels like a luxury SUV. And I'd probably compare this to the outgoing Land Cruiser. The new one, maybe not so much, but that did take a downgrade. This took a downgrade on its powertrain as well as the Land Cruiser in terms of going from the bigger V8s to this one having a twin turbo V6 and then having the option of the Turbo 4 or the Turbo 4 hybrid in the Land Cruiser. But the Land Cruiser, it seemed like it slimmed down a little bit. The Armada here, not so much. It feels like it almost got bigger. And I think a lot of people, again, in this segment, this is what they want anyway. So I think Nissan did something bold there, but also going to the 3.5 V6, not like there was much choice there necessarily, but I like the engine so far just from an everyday driving perspective. Even though your fuel economy isn't necessarily good, it's still super peppy and not a lot of noise coming from the engine bay as opposed to the older Armadas with the Endurance V8s that were just loud. And that's one of the things I liked about them personally, but a lot of people don't necessarily want that in their full-size SUV. They want something that, you know, is loud when you want it to be, but quiet when you don't. But I mean, very quiet coming down this stretch of industrial road here. I can feel the road, but again, it's not uncomfortable by any means. From the driver's seat, the seat is certainly wide enough for my wider stature. Again, comfortable, very adjustable. What I will say is, for this price point, I would have expected cooled seats. Not having to pay extra for that, but it is what it is. I will say though, I find it interesting that Nissan kind of cut out the cooled seats on this particularly. If we see a Platinum or an SL or something like that, we'll see if those have cooled seats. But in this Pro-4X, I'm just surprised that for the price point, again, we don't have the cooled seats there or a sunroof. Even GM, I feel like they have, in the Premiers, you're paying this much money, you're expected to at least have the cooled seats. But honestly, again, the driving dynamics here are very nice. Very appreciative of how quiet it is, how tame it is. Just going down the road here doing 40, 45. Now with this one having a check engine light on and only 23 miles, I'm not gonna give it too much as I get on the interstate here in a while, but I will put it into sport mode and we're gonna see what this thing can do. And under light throttle in the sport mode, it's still not overly aggressive, which I like. But let's see if we have space to open her up here in a sec. Here we go. So pickup was very good, even without flooring it. Actually pretty impressed. But we'll put it into the eco mode now. We have the Pro Pilot Assist going, so lane centering, adaptive cruise. And I'm surprised with how quiet it is coming down the interstate. I'm not used to a quiet Armada. The ride is fantastic on the smooth road here. And the sound acoustics are great. Now there's not a lot of wind going on now, but still it's just very impressive with how quiet the cabin is overall. And there's just not a lot going on in terms of the vehicle going from side to side or even a lot of roll in the body itself. It's just a very smooth, capable ride here. I do want to give one more thanks to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this Armada today. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click on that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your info. I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. But I mean, this is a very impressive ride here. Now I have my issues with this Armada. With it having a twin turbo V6 and still being as thirsty as the EPA is saying it is, it's kind of a letdown, but this is still a boss of an SUV. It's not like it's slimmed down like the Land Cruiser. This still feels huge. It still feels big, and it's still supposed to be as capable as the outgoing model. The interior is very nice, and again, for this price point, I don't know why we don't have cooled seats, especially in a Nissan, but it is what it is. But other than that, I mean, it's a very nice SUV. Interior looks great, exterior looks great. I apologize again that it was dirty, but It's less than 20 degrees outside, so it wouldn't really help much. But it's from an exterior standpoint, just in terms of the looks, the aesthetics, it looks great, feels great behind the wheel. Really have no complaints about it other than it'll be expensive to drive, but if you're looking at an Armada, you're used to that anyway. Those endurance V8s, again, very thirsty. This twin turbo V6 feels super fast, super quick, but it's also very thirsty. But I think you should check it out if you're in the market for something like this, or if you're ready to upgrade your old Armada, because it is impressive. But with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2025 Nissan Armada Pro 4X.